Hi, Course 3 Math. This is Lesson 1-3. Our lesson objective is to add and subtract integers and solve problems involving integers. So again, adding and subtracting is our focus here. As usual, we will start off with a few key vocabulary and key concepts, and we will go from there. All right, so we want to first look at adding integers. If we are adding integers with the same sign, the sum of two positive integers is positive. The sum of two negative integers is negative. So if you're adding things of the same sign, they're always going to, the sum will have the same sign. It's when you have different signs that you need to be careful. To add integers with different signs, find the absolute value of each integer. Subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater. That gives you your sum, or the number. The sum has the sign of the integer with the greatest absolute value. Okay? Subtracting integers. To subtract an integer, add its opposite. Okay, and we talked a little bit previously about what opposites are. Remember, opposites are two numbers, each on different side of 0 on the number line. These numbers have the same absolute value, and their sum, the sum of two opposites, is also going to give you 0. Okay. So here are a couple of examples. If we use arithmetic, 5 minus 7 becomes 5 plus -7 by following this rule. To subtract an integer, add its opposite. Similarly, if I have 5 minus -7, that becomes 5 plus 7. Algebraically, we see that A minus B is equal to A plus the opposite of B, or A plus -B. Okay, very quickly, in a nutshell, those are the two rules that we want to use. Another term that we want to be aware of is additive inverses. Two numbers are additive inverses if their sum is 0. Okay, so for example, 5 and -5 are additive inverses because 5 plus -5 equals 0. Okay, so if you need to jot that down, sometimes I will talk a little bit and not write everything I say, so you may actually want to write down some of the things I say and perhaps don't write down for you, but you're always welcome to write that down. Okay, so here we go into our examples, and we will be applying our rules here, so I will try to remember to repeat the rules clearly for you so that you can, okay, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Okay, here we go, because I don't need the full lines here. So adding integers. We want to simplify -7 plus -17. Both -7 and -17 are negative. Excuse me, I almost said positive there. So their sum is negative. -17 plus -7 is -24. Most people just think of it as 7 plus 17 is 24. Since they're both negative, my answer or my sum is negative. Okay. Now, subtracting integers. We want to simplify the expression 10 minus 17. So I'm going to, following the rule, add the opposite of 17, which is -17. So my problem changes from 10 minus 17 to 10 plus -17. Okay, simplify. I see that in my addition problem, I need it to become an addition problem to simplify. Okay, and this is -17. My negative sign is a little close there. I apologize. The difference in the absolute values, the absolute value of -17 is 17. And then I'm going to subtract 10 because the absolute value of 10 is 10. So that tells me that the numerical part of my answer is 7. The sign on 7 should be negative because the number that had the greater absolute value was negative. So 10 plus negative 17 is negative 7. Okay, this part right here, many times you're going to be able to do it mentally. Certainly, you're always welcome to write it off to the side of a problem so that you don't make computational errors, particularly, again, when we have larger numbers or it gets a little more complex. Let's go on to example number 3. A scuba diver descends from the surface of a lake and swims to 43 meters below the surface to observe a fish. She then swims 97 meters further down to reach the bottom. What is the depth of the bottom of the lake? Okay, now sometimes it's helpful and sometimes, to go ahead and underline, especially when you have kind of a lot of information in a problem, underline the things that you're going to need to solve the problem. Okay, so first we want to do, basically we're going to say, since this is 43 meters below the surface, that gives me the integer of negative 43. And then from that, I'm going to subtract 79 because she's moving, or diving, not she, but the diver, is diving 79 feet deeper. Okay, so I end up with negative 43 minus 79. Following my rules for integers, that tells me that my problem, I'm going to need to add the opposite of 79, which is negative 70. Whoops. My apologies, negative 79. Again, another case for using pencil, because when you mess up, you mess up. All right, so this is going to give me negative 43 plus negative 79. If I was using really good form on this second one, I would want to have parentheses to be sure to keep the operational addition sign separate from the negative sign here. Okay, use the rules for adding integers with the same sign. So since they have the same sign, again, you might want to go off to the side and align them vertically to add them, just so you don't make careless mistakes. My answer here is negative 122. So the depth of the bottom is negative 122 meters. Or you could also state it as 122 meters below the surface. By saying the word below, you then don't have to use the negative sign. So you may either write an answer like this, or you may tell me the answer like this, 122 meters below the surface. Either is acceptable and fully correct. All right, now before you come back to class, I would like you to complete the quick check questions, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.